DogDay was already planning his escape long before the player ever set foot inside that section of the factory, and this is not a guess, this is the only explanation that fits everything we see. When the player arrives, DogDay does not react like a toy. Meeting a stranger for the first time, he reacts like someone who was in the middle of something and got interrupted. He immediately shifts his attention away from his own plan and onto the player because his priority in that moment is not himself, it is keeping the player from getting hurt. He tells the player to leave, and he means it fully because he knows exactly how dangerous that place is. He has lived inside the walls of that factory. He has seen what happens to toys and workers who stay too long, and he understands the layout, the traps, the other experiments, and the way the building itself seems to hunt anyone who lingers. This is why his warning is not hesitant and not soft. He does not whisper it, he does not suggest it, he states it directly because he already knows the outcome if the player stays, and he is trying to prevent that outcome before it happens. The key detail that proves this is not about him doubting the player or rejecting their help is the way he continues to act even after the player refuses to leave. He does not get angry, he does not abandon the player, and he does not treat their presence as a burden. Instead, he adapts his own plan around protecting them. This is the behavior of someone who wanted to handle the danger alone, specifically because he did not want to put someone else at risk, not because he thought the player was incapable. DogDay is not the kind of character who looks down on others, he is the kind of character who takes on danger himself so that others do not have to, and that is exactly what happens here. He was already choosing to face the escape by himself long before the player showed up, and the arrival of the player does not change his intention to protect, it only adds a second person he now has to keep safe while still trying to get out. Every part of his personality supports this reading. DogDay is built around themes of loyalty, protection, and self-sacrifice. He is designed to be the one who watches out for others even when no one is watching out for him. This is not a coincidence in the writing, this is the entire point of his character. So when he tells the player to leave, it lines up perfectly with everything he represents. He is not pushing them away because he does not trust them, he is pushing them away because he trusts the danger of that factory more than he trusts luck, and he refuses to gamble with someone else's life while he still has the ability to warn them. The fact that he does not reject the player's help once they insist on staying is the strongest piece of evidence for this whole theory. If he truly wanted to be alone, he would have found a way to force the player out, or he would have left without saying anything at all. Instead, he stays present, he keeps communicating, and he keeps trying to guide the player safely through the danger even while continuing his own escape attempt. This shows that his original plan was never about excluding people. It was about not wanting to expose anyone to unnecessary risk. Once the risk becomes unavoidable because the player refuses to go, he shifts immediately into protecting them instead of resenting them. This shift happens instantly and naturally because protecting others was always part of who he is. He simply preferred that no one else had to be involved at all. DogDay also shows a level of familiarity with the factory that goes beyond simple observation. He moves with intention, he reacts to specific dangers before they fully appear, and he seems to already have a route in mind. This is not the behavior of a toy who just woke up and started reacting to the environment for the first time. This is the behavior of someone who has been quietly planning an exit for a long time and who understands the timing of the factory almost like a routine. He knows when it is dangerous to move and when it is safer. He knows which areas to avoid, and he knows what waits around certain corners. This kind of knowledge only comes from experience and observation over time, which supports the idea that he was already in motion on his own escape before the player interrupted that process. His insistence that the player leave is also a reflection of guilt and responsibility. He does not want to be the reason someone else gets hurt in a place that has already hurt so many others. He is aware of what this factory has done to people and to toys, and he does not want to add another victim to that list, especially not someone who came into this situation without fully understanding the danger. This is why his warning carries urgency. It is not about doubting the player, it is about a toy who has seen enough tragedy and refuses to let another one happen if he can prevent it. Even the tone of his warning tells us something important. He does not simply say that it is dangerous, he emphasizes that he knows how dangerous it is, which implies first-hand experience, and first-hand experience implies that he has already tried to navigate this danger before. This again points back to the idea that his escape plan was already active before the player showed up. He was not simply reacting to new information, he was reacting to a threat he already understood deeply. Once the player stays anyway, DogDay does not try to control them or order them around like an authority figure. Instead, he treats them as someone he now has to look out for. This shift in behavior is subtle but consistent. He begins guiding rather than commanding. He begins including the player in decisions rather than making choices for them. This proves that his earlier warning was never about control, it was about protection. The moment protection alone is not possible because the player will not leave, he moves into a role of shared survival while still carrying the weight of trying to keep them safe. This theory also fits the larger pattern seen throughout the story, where characters who understand the danger of the factory try to shield newcomers from it even at the cost of their own safety. DogDay fits perfectly into this pattern because his actions are not driven by fear for himself, they are driven by concern for others. This consistency across the narrative strengthens the idea that his intentions from the very beginning were selfless. So when we put all of this together, the theory becomes clear and confident. DogDay had already begun his own escape attempt, driven by his deep understanding of the factory's dangers. When the player arrived, he immediately prioritized their safety over his own plan. He told them to leave not because he doubted them, but because he did not want them exposed to the same risks he had already accepted for himself. When the player chose to stay, he did not push them away or resent them. He adapted instantly and began protecting them while continuing to search for a way out. This reveals a character who values the safety of others above his own comfort, and who was always trying to escape, not just for himself but eventually to make sure the player made it out alive as well. This is not a theory built on speculation, this is a theory built directly on his actions, his tone, his knowledge of the environment, and the consistency of his character across every interaction he has with the player. Everything about the way he behaves points to a toy who was already planning to face the danger alone until someone else walked into that danger with him, and from that moment forward his mission quietly expanded from simply surviving to making sure the player survived as well.